Hello, my friends. Your buddy Phil here, Project Management Training Coach. Today, we're going to take a quick look at the risk report. The risk report is talked about in both the 6th edition of the PMBok Guide and the 7th edition of the PMBok Guide, but it's not broken down in enough detail to avoid confusion. So when you think about the risk report, it is a report that is high level and tells senior management what they need to know about the overall risk exposure and the overall state of the project from a risk perspective. Okay, now let's break down what the PMBok Guide says in the 6th edition. I'm going to read it to you and I'm going to put a blurb from it on the screen. So if you open up your PMBok Guide to page 418, you can follow along. This is what it says. Here we go. The risk report presents information on sources of overall project risk, together with summary information of identified individual project risks. So think about that for a moment. What exactly is overall project risk? Risk that could sink the entire project, risk that will put the entire project in jeopardy, or risks that could be of a positive nature and affect the entire project positively. The risk report is developed progressively throughout the project risk management process. The results of perform qualitative risk analysis, perform quantitative risk analysis, plan risk responses, implement risk responses, and monitor risks are also included in the risk report as those processes are completed. So what you need to understand here is it is a progressive build. Still in the PMBok Guide, it says on completion of the identified risk process, information in the risk report may include, but is not limited to, and the big buckets are sources of overall project risk and summary information on identified individual project risks. Now let's take a look at that in more detail. So you can see that the two big buckets here are the sources of overall project risk, indicating which are the most important drivers of overall project risk exposure, and summary information on identified individual project risks, such as number of identified threats and opportunities, distribution of risks across risk categories, metrics, and trends. Additional information may be added in the risk report. Watch this, depending on the reporting requirements specified in the risk management plan. So all of this boils down to your company, your department, their unique take on risk management and reporting in risk management. So I don't want you to look at this as being a prescriptive thing that has to be done in a particular way. But one of the ways you know if you are doing it right is if it is not high level, you are going into the weeds, that is not a risk report. Risk report, I look at it as a State of the Union address for risk. As it says here under the risk management plan, reporting formats define how the outcome of the project risk management process will be documented, analyzed, and communicated. The section of the risk management plan describes, watch this, the content and format of the risk report, as well as any other required outputs. Now, I paraphrase that because I really want you to keep your eye on the risk report. All right, now getting into the report, there's certain things you would expect in a risk report, okay? The high level overarching information is definitely one, but going down, you begin to see the detail. Things such as the overall process on the project, resources, quality, technology, capabilities, and these are just a few, all right? Some guidelines. A report such as the one I'm showing here should only serve as an example and not a be-all end-all for risk management reports. Creation of a risk report needs to be done on a case-by-case basis. And you can pause the video and read whatever else I have here. Now, here's an example of what it could look like, all right? It could look like this at a very high level. In fact, just this top piece right here could be an example of a risk report, just that piece, nothing else. If this is what management needs to understand the state of the project from a risk perspective, that's fine. Now, you can dig into more details. You could talk about an overall project risk score, if there is one. So if your company has a score on a scale of 1 to 10 or something like that, you could give the overall project risk exposure or condition a score, whatever that means to you. All right. Remember, this is just an example. You've got to make it real for yourself. When it comes to scoring the individual risks, the overall risk, it really is up to you. In this example, I'm showing scoring of overall risks on a scale of 1 to 10. And you can see the process is a 2, the resource risk is a 3, quality is getting hotter, it's a 5, technology is a 7. So this needs to be the idea, all right? This is an idea. It's not a prescriptive list of everything that you should do to have a risk report. All right, so does your risk report tell management about risk exposure, however they understand it? Does it go into enough detail while still remaining high level for them to not get lost in the weeds? When you're aggregating the effect of the individual project risk, it's okay to use EMV. If you're using a Monte Carlo, information like that could be summarized. And in the PMBOK guide, there's a very good high-level example of what you could get from a Monte Carlo, what your simulation could look like. If you go to page 433, it is titled S-Curve from Quantitative Cost Risk Analysis. So the overall state of the project from a risk perspective, where cost is concerned, are we likely to be on budget or not? That is one of the higher level thoughts. So we're not thinking about the EMV for EVM, earned value management for phase or for a task. We're thinking overall, what is the probability that we will come in on budget or not? You see, you would use EMV at the levels of a task or phase, but this is different. And you could actually use EMV at a project level, but this is different. This is really asking, what is the likelihood of us coming in on budget? And as you see there, there's an 85% chance of costing 2.45 million or less. Okay, let's say the budget, whatever the budget target is, 2.2. Well, at this point, it looks like we're definitely going to be over 2.2. So it's a higher level thinking, you see. And that's why we say the risk report is going to be updated all throughout the project. It's not a one-time thing. All right. I hope this gives you clarity. Just remember, you got to tailor it to what management deems fit. But at the same time, it will be good to keep it at a high level. You could also emphasize major opportunities. You could emphasize major threats, and you could address it at the level of technical risk, management risk, commercial risk, external risk. What is our exposure at those high levels? Go into the higher levels of your RBS. It could go to lower levels. I hope this gives you clarity. There's not a lot of information about this. In fact, there's not a whole lot of videos that go into showing you what a risk report could look like. Okay, project managers, you know what I mean. Traffic lights, high level stuff. Management hates minutiae, except when stuff gets really bad. But at a high level, they like high level stuff, right? That's how they roll. So make your report as summary as possible is all I'm saying. I hope this gives you clarity, my friends. If you have any examples you want to share about a risk report that you made or that you know that's out there, why don't you put in the link below? Thank you. Take care. Bye for now.